dude, I swear to God, if the game had robust mod support,
Yeah.
I would spend 6 months making Tarkov.
Yeah.
Fully featured, like I
Yeah.
would go like hardcore, like the amount of time that people put into like the Skyrim nudity mods, I would put into making a Tarkov like mode
In Battle
in a
Bit.
game like BattleBit.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, Pepsi, and the fact that it's National Pizza Day. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jesse Kazam.
And I'm full of pizza.
Is that why you had
day.
pizza? Because it was Pizza Day?
No, I ordered 7-Eleven pizza last night at about 11 p.m. because I'm an adult.
Because you're an adult, yes.
Yeah.
I accept
and then
this.
I just had leftovers.
Bro, Sunday, we were like craving just Jets pizza. I don't know if you had Jets, but it's really good. So we had pizza.
What? Wait, sorry, what?
Jets. It's just it's a chain, but it's a chain of Detroit style pizza, and it's a relatively small chain, so there's not that many of them. But it's
not even. It should be Lions.
It's really good. Yeah, you'd think, but it's Jets.
Sports.
So I had that. Then Monday, leftover pizza. Right. Wednesday, yesterday, last night, we went to some friend's house. Pizza. Today, National Pizza Day, so I had to get a pizza, and I have leftovers.
Dude, it just occurred to
tomorrow.
me that they changed the recipe for pizza rolls at some point, and or it was like I hit that threshold where like you suddenly become 34 and now a third of the foods you love don't taste the same anymore. I can't tell.
I'm not there yet, but please don't take my pizza rolls away. They're so good. Yo, you ever had Elio's?
Yeah, of course.
Hell yeah, dude. I found some. It was like, that was one of those childhood memory unlocked moments for me. I hadn't had Elio's in 2 decades, bro. And we were just like walking down the freezer aisle of Publix, and I was like, Elio's. So we bought some.
Yeah, man, I have that all the time, actually. I think I have. See, the problem is that when you get a box, there's an even number in there, and I have 2 at a time.
Yeah.
And then I cut them into slices.
Yeah.
But my wife only has 1. So when she eats 1, there's 1 left. It's like, well, now I can't. It's not a meal.
Yep. It's just
not
a
enough
snack
for a meal. Yeah. So there you go.
Elio's. Well, what's up, man? How you doing?
I hate to say this, man, but Tarkov the last 2 days has been quite good.
Man. I'm glad. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. We talked about this a little bit when I rated you, but it was like, you mentioned it. It's like you get assigned a house when you install Tarkov, and it's either house A or house B, and those 2 houses cannot be having fun at the same time. It's just not allowed. And so like I have been having the worst week of Tarkov ever, and so I sent everybody over to you, and you were like, man, I've been having some good days, and I was just like, damn.
So what's been rough? Has it been cheaters? Has it been bugs? Desync? Like what?
Okay, so to be fully honest with you, and it hurts my heart to say, so part of it, one side of the coin is all the things we talk about where it's like just every possible bug or inconvenience or annoyance, they've been stacking up like really bad for me. And then the other side of the coin, and this is what hurts. That's annoying, but what hurts is the other half of the coin, the 30% of the raids, the 3 out of 10 raids you get in, I've been whiffing. I feel like I'm washed. I feel like
you have Veritas syndrome.
I feel like
where the game's dog shit.
And I just can't, like, I die and immediately I'm like, that was a really dumb decision. I shouldn't have pushed that. I shouldn't have reloaded there because it's a P90, it's a really long reload, and he just like peeked me. And so it's like that, it's painful because like you die 10 raids in a row. Yeah, you die 10 raids in a row, and it's easy when it's like no audio bug or obvious cheater, but it's harder when you're already frustrated, because either one of those situations is fine. If you're playing well and you're dealing with Tarkov's bullcrap, you can kind of push through it. Or if you're not playing that well, but if all 10 of your raids were legit good, fun raids, if 30% of the time you were whiffing, you're still on a pretty decent roll. But if 30% of the time you're whiffing and 70% of the time Tarkov's ramming its fist up your butt, you're just like, all day is pain. And that's been like 5 days in a row of all day is pain. Oh, and then layered on top of that, all of the quests I've been doing are on the maps I enjoy playing the least, which is reserve and interchange. Like I'm trying to do long line, which is just kill 30 PMCs in interchange, and trying to find Killa, who's like super toxic to find and kill. And so like, and the like the audio is just so bad on interchange, bro. It's
I've been playing almost exclusively Lighthouse, so the audio hasn't been
much
except for the 2 indoor fights.
Yeah. But like, oh yeah, so it's just been brutal. Like the other day I was playing and we like I've been getting the invisible player bug constantly with the duo. And once again, I don't know how much it affects. I don't know if I'm invisible to Trey, if I'm invisible to everybody else, or if Trey is invisible to everybody else. Like, I don't know. We haven't, but it's been super freaking annoying. I was playing with Valiant. We had the invisible player thing. It was night interchange, and we spawned all the way back at Railway. Okay, like not in Emercon. We spawned all the way back at Railway. And so then we ran down the train tracks, and we proned in the bushes, and we both alt forward. And the actual nanosecond Valiant reconnected, he got one tapped by a Makarov to the face. And then as soon as I reconnected, I got up and I was like running to try and find this guy, and he was prone and he hit me in the face. And so we were like super sussed out about that. Like, feels like that's a cheater, but I don't know. Then that same guy, because we got the name, like the next day I was playing with Valiant and Airwing, and that same dude was like harassing Valiant, like ran up to us and started voiping at Valiant, like all this Monka stuff. And so then, and I died and Valiant died, and then Airwing was like chasing him down. And the guy was like, I subbed you on YouTube. And he was like, how the hell do you even know who I am? Like, and Airwing was chasing him down, and he was like shooting him in the legs through the map. He didn't want to kill Airwing. He didn't want somebody else to report him, but he was shooting him in the legs to try and slow him down. And he got out. And then like, it's been a bunch of like the spawns on reserve and the spawns on streets and are just like so just atrocious. Me and Trey were playing on streets today. We spawned in and we jumped out a window down the road, and Trey just falls over dead. 7 seconds into the raid. And so it's like, that's not like a bug. That's just like the spawns suck. And if you get a bad spawn and somebody else gets a bad spawn, and that guy knows the bad spawns better than you, because I haven't played a whole lot of streets, he just pops out the window, looks left with his voodoo, and goes boop, and then raid over. You know what I mean? Like, no audio, insanity. Me and Trey had a raid where it was the invisible player bug. He couldn't see me, so we both alt forward, and it said reconnect, and we reconnected, and it said, loading loot, synchronizing with other players, all the things. It flashes black. You see the little like beta version in the bottom left-hand corner and the raid code, but it's a black screen, and it was stuck there. So we both alt forward again, and we came back to our stash. And we assumed that we had both died, that somebody had just like found us and killed us, right? But then somebody in chat was like, yo, that same thing happened to me and my buddy, but he alt forward, I stayed in the raid, and he said that same thing happened. He said it flashed black, I saw the raid code in the bottom, and so I alt forward again, and I got back to my stash. But the friend that stayed in the raid was like, I can see your body. You're still in the game. But the other guy was back at his stash. And the guy said he couldn't loot his friend or shoot him. He was just laying there as an entity. And so he was like, I was like, bro, do you have a video of that? Like, because if so, then maybe that can be helpful. And if not, I don't know. So he said he was going to send me a video. But it's just like, it was just everything, dude. Like,
dude, what does it look like if you're invisible to, like let's say you're looking at a guy running and you're gonna shoot him, but you like don't shoot him, and then your invisible teammate like kills them. Does the guy just fall over dead? Does he do you see blood splatters?
So,
like,
from all the clips I've seen, if you died to somebody that was invisible, you hear and see nothing. Like,
happened to me. That's happened to me exactly one time.
Yeah.
Ever.
So there's no audio. Like when I was invisible to Trey, he can't hear my footsteps. He can't see anything. Oh, and then a separate time, we load in. Neither one of us are invisible, okay? He sees me. We go labs. This was our only way of coping today. We ended with labs, nothing. We took off our red rebels, everything out of the secure container. All we went in with was a balaclava and headphones, right? And he finds a Makarov and a penis helmet, and he's like, I'll take the gun, you take the helmet. And he drops the helmet, and I pick it up and put it on, but he doesn't see it on me. And so I drop it again, and I dropped it for him, and he could see it. But then I put it back on, and he can't see it on me. And so we were like, oh, that's funny. So then we end up dropping somebody. He drops a Giga Chad with the Makarov, and then we loot that guy, and then we kill like 8 raiders. And I ended up with a Gazelle, a blackjack backpack full of loot, a U-lock, headphones, and 2 guns. And to Trey, I was still a hatchling with a balaclava. That was all he saw on me.
Yeah, so I mean that like it all screams some mega version of desync.
Yeah. But like imagine that. Imagine so for sure desync, but like this all makes me think of there's so many cheaters in Tarkov. Imagine a hatchling walks up to you and you die to a gun. You're going to think that's cheating. You know what I mean? Like to Trey, I was still a hatchling. Now, I don't know if to other people on the map I was still a hatchling or not, but it's impossible to test these things. It's impossible to get any sort of science, right, around these things because they're not repeatable.
I mean, the fact that I have played like 60 hours since this was a thing.
Yeah.
And I've died one time.
Yeah.
To what I can attribute as the invisible bug. Like literally all of a sudden I was like, and I just fell over dead. And yet everybody is constantly saying they're sick of it. They're sick of it. Their teammates are always invisible.
Yeah.
And the fact that like statistically, my assumption, like my gut is telling me that so many of the people that are saying they're dying to invisible people are dying to people they never saw. But it was Tarkov being Tarkov, and it wasn't invisible people.
I would probably agree with that.
And I think it manifests most commonly within a team.
Yeah.
Because I actually came across 3 guys in Shoreline yesterday, and the guy was like, one of the guys was voiping like, oh, I'm new, I'm a Timmy, I need a Salewa, whatever, are we gonna have to fight? And then I was talking to him for a while, and he was like, wait, Veritas? Is that you? He's like, recognize my voice. Yeah. So then the 3 of them were cool and we were homies for a while, but one of them was invisible to the other 2.
To the other 2, but you could see all 3.
But he was visible to me. Yeah. The other guy, like I would grab grab the loot from the dude who was invisible to them. Because actually 2 of the guys 2 of the 3 died to a guy just came up and gunned them all down. But then I would like pick up the loot, throw it on the ground. They couldn't see the loot. Yeah. So, but like one of the guys that was invisible wasn't invisible to me, and he clearly wasn't invisible to the guy that killed him.
Yeah.
So I think
I would probably agree with that. I would probably say that because you remember the verbiage when they said that they fixed the invisible bug, the verbiage that they used was it was something along the lines of we fixed the main cause of the invisibility player bug. We are working to make sure the issue is completely closed. And so as soon as I read that, I was like, okay, it's not fixed. And so it would not surprise me at all if 99% of cases right now, it is something to do with how it's teaming people up and the grouping system. But because you'd never know that, then that psychology trickles down into I died to a guy I didn't know was there, or I died to like a random nade, or I died to something, and it's the invisibility bug, the invisibility bug, the invisibility bug, right? So I would probably say that. But even if that's true, it's still a really annoying bug because
for sure.
Because and that's the thing. I don't know what you were saying. It wasn't, but because if you're teaming, all team dynamics go. Because I got so fed up at one point.
At least you can't TK them though.
Yeah,
that's the one benefit.
Well, the one can. I could kill Trey. Trey just couldn't kill me. But like,
true, yeah.
But like, it just got to the point where it happened so many times today. I was just like, I don't want to Alt F4. I was literally like, at that point, we talk about it all the time. I'm like, I just want to play the damn game. Like, just go. Just trust that you don't have to worry about me and let's go. And because I was the invisible one, I was able to do that. But the whole raid, he was like, where are you? Where are you? And I'm like right next to him, right? So it's like any team play goes out the window. So it's just another thing that like 30% of your raids, if you're with a duo or more, one of you guys is invisible. Everybody has a different song and dance over who's supposed to alt F4. Some people say the invisible person is supposed to alt F4. Some people say the person who can't see the teammate's supposed to alt F4. Then we had these weird bugs where it's not letting us reconnect when we alt F4. And I'm just like, let me play the game. And then 2 hours in, you get a good raid and I whiff. And I'm just like, like I'm just it's brutal. But like, but I actually would agree with that, because still to this day, I have not died a single time to a person I couldn't hear or see. Yeah. I haven't died to it, but me and my teammates constantly.
So there's like two things I'm curious about. One, I want to see what happens when the invisible person kills someone, a player that you're looking at. Yeah. Because you can't hear the gunshots. Like, I want to know, do you see the guy aim punch, or does he just fall? Like, do you see the blood? Like, which parts are client side? Which parts are
for sure.
And then the other thing I want to do is, like, and I wish I had done this with the team that I met up with yesterday. Have the guy who's invisible, have the guy who can't see his friend. I'll tell him how to line up the gun with his like kneecap and be like, shoot, and see if he hits him. Yeah. And if he takes damage, like
I was playing a raid with Desmond, and Desmond couldn't see me, which, by the way, this is another thing. This is another thing that's probably helpful information to somebody. I've never, ever not been able to see my teammate. It's exclusively the other way around. I am only ever the one that's invisible.
Interesting.
And I don't know why. I don't know if it's hardware. I don't know if it's like Windows.
Is one of you a USEC and one of you a bear? Or
no, I play with tons of both. But I literally 100% of the time that the bug happens, I am the one that's invisible.
Yeah, yeah. I recently think about who invites who or. Yeah. Streamer mode is also another variable.
I don't have
there's not that many people with streamer mode.
I don't have streamer mode on, and most of the people I play with don't. Actually, nobody that I play with recently has it on. Very recently, because of a different sound issue I had, reinstalled the game and checked the integrity of everything. It could be invite. It would be a crazy coincidence, because we're always trading invites. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. It could be that like always when I invite or always when I get invited, that's how it ends up happening. But boy, is it annoying, bro. And there's been, and actually the more we talk about it, the more I think it is around something with their grouping system, because I've been having a lot of grouped related bugs. So the invisibility thing is almost always happening at the beginning of a raid. Like I said, the weird desync with like Trey couldn't see my gear. He could see me, but he couldn't see my gear. And then I've been having bugs like this again recently, where me, Valiant, and J Bebe were loading into labs, and me and Valiant, we grouped up together. We hit start. It took us all into the queue. Me and Valiant are deploying, and Jay goes, "I'm loading loot," and Jay deploys into a different raid code. He just ends up in a different raid, even though all three of us were in a group and deployed together. So we know that they've been working on a new grouping system. And all of these group-related bugs have been happening. So maybe it's related somehow. But Jay just was like, I'm in a solo raid. And it wasn't even he deployed to a different place in the same raid. He was getting into fights. We were on labs, so it was a small enough map that we'd know if he was in the same raid.
Yeah.
And he wasn't.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, like, seems like it's really annoying. I think I'm trying to remember if I experienced it at all. I don't know why I feel like I did. No, I think one time a viewer wanted to give me a kit.
Yeah,
they were invisible to me, and that was it. Now I would imagine that, people were saying you need to like Alt F4. I would imagine that the person who is the person who can't see their friend is the one that needs to Alt F4, because it's almost like you're not going to see the person pop up in front of you.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, maybe
Oh, which reminds
you
me,
would.
I saw a clip Trey sent me of Logical Solutions playing Shoreline, and he was in the east wing of the resort. So first floor, east wing. He swings a corner, checks the area, moves into a room, kills a scav, moves out to that same room, is looking down a hall, and he hears footsteps like a dude got dropped behind him, and he turns around and there's a PMC like appeared. But the guy didn't like the guy. They traded shots at each other. It wasn't like the dude teleported. It was like he spawned in. That was super weird. And I saw that clip. Like the dude was like, Logical was like, I don't know. That's weird. We've had tons of bugs where like for a second I thought it was really broken. But like if Valiant dies and I bring him his kit, everything I drop from my character gets duped. And there's 2 of them. Now, when you interact with one of them, it makes the other one uninteractable. But like I dropped a kill armor and 2 came out. I dropped a helmet, 2 came out. I dropped his gun, 2 came out. All of his mags that came out double. And even I'll pick one up and drop it and it'll dupe again. But then as soon as he picks up his kit, it's like there's a pile of loot here that none of us can interact with. So we just leave it. It's like so many things, bro.
Ugh. Yeah, I had only 2 raids today actually in like 8 hours. So which was surprising because I've had a ton of on Lighthouse, and today I was just trying to get all the Lighthouse stuff just out of the way.
Yeah.
And I still need a few more PMC USET kills, but one of the ones I made it all the way into that like main rogue building, the one on the left, the first one you hit.
Yep.
Killed a couple of scavs and stuff in there, and then I look over and on like the barrels, you know where there's like that toolbox in there?
Yep.
There's a tank battery.
Oh my god.
And I was like, oh, it's the only one I've seen in like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Grab it, pop the mule, pop like all the stims, go all the way down to northern checkpoint, and it was the first raid this entire wipe where I didn't have northern checkpoint.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I turn around and go back, and I make it 30 feet down the road, and I get one tapped by a dude with like a Mosin or something. So I was pretty salty at that.
Yeah.
And then another one that apparently like there's a Reddit post about that's going viral because Reddit's a bunch of incel clowns. Where I was so looking forward to this engagement where I was coming over the bridge near the Raider camp.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, I wasn't coming over the bridge. I was on the Raider camp side of that little bridge, and I turn left, and I see 5 juiced PMCs running at me. And I had an MDR with, I don't know if it was the Voodoo or the Razor or whatever. And it's like, instantly hit record, went to like immersion. I'm like, this is going to be, and I like popped a few rounds at the guy, and the recoil is just so dog.
Yeah.
So I had 2 60 rounders.
Yeah.
With like a mix of 8.56A1 and 9.95. Like the one time I take out the 60 rounders with like the good.
Yeah.
But there's so much recoil. Then I end up surviving the initial onslaught where they all kind of scatter.
Yeah.
I make it all the way around. I flank over. I kill one dude. I'm like behind a hill. And then I'm like, I want to jump up on the little ledge. I can't move forward. It would make so much noise. And then all of a sudden I hear a scav yell, and I'm like, okay, there's going to be scav shot in 3, 2. All of a sudden you hear boom, 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 boom. I jump up on the thing. I look, and there's a dude with his back turned to me. I'm like, I spray, and it's like impossible to hit the guy. And the thing is, I start off with 5.56 going blink, blink, blink. And it's like with the movement on the rock and everything, it's like you one tapping, unless you have a 308, it just feels so bad with 5.56.
Yeah.
Unless they're standing still.
Unless they're completely motionless. Yeah.
Unless I just basically held down mouse 1. I ended up killing one dude. And it was like 40 rounds it took me to kill that guy.
Yeah.
Also because it was completely black in the scope. I killed the guy and you never even saw him in the scope. It was just I was aiming properly. And then there was another guy. I ended up basically killing 2 or 3 of them. And then all of a sudden a dude with a pistol rolls up on me. And I'm like pointing my gun at him. and he's like pop 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 with the Glock, and it was so loud and the muzzle flash and everything, I couldn't tell that I was out of ammo. So
Oh
I'm
yeah,
pointing at him,
I've done
thinking I'm
that so
shooting,
many times.
and I was out of ammo. I'm like, so I was super salty because I'm like, that was such a missed opportunity for an epic story, like
Yeah.
the 1v5 where I could actually,
Yeah.
and I was salty about the recoil because if the recoil wasn't so busted,
Yeah.
well, then I easily would have been able to 1v5 these guys. I wouldn't have had to go through 60, 80 rounds to kill two of them.
Or at least died in a like BA way where it was like an engagement and one guy flanks and then you die and you go, oh, GG's guys. But yeah, especially with like the camera recoil and the weird FOV and like the you can't see through your own scope and you're just like, what's happening? Dude, another thing, like, and this is so like anecdotal. I don't think that they like buffed the scavs, but like it's the if you play enough Tarkov, you get the dice roll where like there were like 2 or 3 days where just the scavs seemed insane. Like, and what you were saying, what you just said, like missed opportunity for a cool story. I was solo reserve because I was like waiting for I was waiting for a buddy to hop in, and I was trying to like kill scavs in the bunkers and all those like ridiculous things. And I spawn in and I'm running to the thing, and then all of a sudden it's like 3 grenades and red tracers fly at me, and I was like, oh, Gluhar. So like I run down and I peek up and I can't find him. I peek up another way. I'm just like the underground under Hermetic. I'm just all over, coming up all the different doors, and I can't see him. And I like peek my head out, and it's like, one on. And then the onslaught comes again. And I'm like, okay, how do I do this? Like, how do I make this happen? And on some level, I think the bosses are busted. But on some level, it was engaging a part of my brain that the game should, where I was like, how do I fix this puzzle? How do I finish this? How do I get close enough to them without exposing? So I go down, I come up a crazy way, I go wide left, I go to the other night, and then I kind of bounce around to the other train station, and now I'm back by RBST. I go all the way around, and I'm by that RBST long building, and I'm walking up the side of it, and little did I know, Gluhar and his minions moved from the night building into there. So through the wall, I hear Gluhar's taunt, and I was like, oh, chat, they're here, they're close. And then from 50 meters away on my left shoulder, just on those hills, I hear, one on Suka, and a Saiga 9 with PST. He shoots one singular bullet, and it hits my ear, and I fall over dead. After I spent 10 minutes repositioning on Gluhar. Yep. And I was like, and those are the moments where I was like, I don't care what you think about, like, the scavs are supposed to be hard, and they're supposed to, like, that robbed me of the experience, of even giving me the experience to, like, die to Gluhar, right? You know what I mean? I had made this whole thing, and it's like, you can't.
Dude, what do you expect standing out in the open, bro?
Yeah, you can't.
You were just standing up straight out in the open,
where every enemy is all the time. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't. And then I was mauling about that, and Seal came on, and like me and Seal hopped into a customs raid, and I was like, as long as I don't die to a scav, I'm chill. And we're up, and the same thing, 30 to 45 meters away, a scav one tapped Seal. Seal was in midair behind 3 bushes. Like, I have a clip of me standing where Seal died. 3 feet in front of Seal is bushes, and then on the other side of that bush was a bush, and then on the other side of that bush, 20 meters away, was the scav. So the scav tracked him through the bushes, and Seal was in midair jumping behind cover, and he got 1 tap to the head. And I was just like, so it's like, I'm not saying that they turned up the scavs. We just got unlucky multiple raids in a row, but it's just like, how many different things? Like, if 14 different super awful things happen 10% of the time, then that means 90% of your raids suck dick. You know what I mean? Because it all like, and that's, well, I don't die to scavs that often. It's not as bad as it used to be. I don't die to cheaters that often. It's not as bad as it used to be. I don't die to the audio that often. It's not as bad as it used to be. I don't die to desync. It doesn't matter if it's not that often. There's 14 things. So one of them, we flip the statistic now. It's like, it's only a 10% chance that any one of them is going to happen, but it's an 80% chance that one of them is going to happen. And then I just get so frustrated. And then I've just been Whitney Houston all day with the raids that feel good. And so it's just like, I'm dying, bro. I'm dying out here.
Dude, Veritas.
I know. I feel like Veritas.
Oh God, damn. Wait for the wet. All you need is the Reddit posts, and we'll have fully switched roles. But I mean, I feel you, man. Like I don't know why the last couple of days felt
Yeah.
all right. I genuinely don't know why. I if it's like lucky or if it was so funny because like my like unstated gut was like, I wonder if they did a band wave. Like
Yeah.
suddenly it feels really good. Now part of it is the time of day. Today I started streaming
For
at
sure.
8 or 9 a.m. and the other day that I had good raids, I went 6 hours before dying.
Yeah.
And then 3 p.m. hits and all of a sudden I die 6 times per hour.
Yeah.
You know? So time of day is massive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, I wonder. And then someone came into chat and was like, is it just me or are like cheaters like 10 times more than they were 2 days ago? And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like what
Yeah.
universe am I in? And
It's
then someone's
so anecdotal, bro.
and then the next day or like 2 hours later, someone else is like, there must have been a ban wave because it seems like there's like less cheaters. And it's like, I mean, dude, I don't know, man. But I feel for you, dude. I hope it
And I think that's why,
turns around.
like, it's why we all end up playing maps we're the most comfortable with, because we like, it's why I play 90% of my raids are woods and customs, because like it gets to a point where it's like, well, I can work around all the shenanigans the most on these maps, because like you're just subconsciously the most comfortable with where the scavs spawn. You're the most comfortable with like how jank the audio is. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it's just so sad, because like that's why I feel like part of the reason why I've been having such a bad time is because I've been trying to clean up all my reserve and interchange quests. And once I get Kappa, I never play those maps, even though I know them. I know how to traverse both the maps. I know how to get from A to B. I know where all the stores are. But it's like, maybe I'm not quite as familiar with exactly where every spawn is for the scavs, and so I get caught off guard by these scuffed scavs.
Reserve is
Scuffed, dude.
Reserve feels like labs used to with all the cheaters. Like reserve, I feel like I die 80% of the time to like sus. I died a bunch today, and there was only one. Actually, no, I didn't have any sus deaths today.
Yeah.
But yeah, like on reserve, I feel like most of my engagements are sketch. I don't know why.
Yeah, I hate reserve, dude. And I'm starting to like really hate interchange, even though it's my favorite map. That's also my least favorite map. And part of it is the audio. The thing with reserve is you can kind of get away with not the audio being super scuffed, because you can just play up on top and away from the pawn buildings.
Unless your quests are all underground.
Yeah,
as soon as I go underground, everything gets.
But interchange, you can't play away from the audio, right? Like Longline is literally killed 30 PMCs in the mall. I can't even get spawn kills. I can't get kills at power. They have to be in the mall. And if you're in the mall, there is no part of the mall that isn't 3 stories. There is no part of the mall that doesn't have a floor above you and a floor below you. And so the audio is just like, just gone. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and you just can't hear anything. I was like, Airwing was at Tech Light and I was in the basement, and I was like, taunt. And he says something, and I hear it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's you. I thought somebody was either on my floor in the basement or directly above me, but you're 2 floors above me and it was just you. LOL. Ha 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 ha. I guess I just have to roll the dice with Killa audio. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell?
That's what's so. And I actually have a really good. I had 2. Was it yesterday or the day before? 2 like. I feel like quintessential different examples of different situations. One of them was someone I would bet money was a cheater, and then the other was someone that the whole situation felt scuffed or sus or whatever, and then ended up being able to get completely to the bottom of it, and it like totally makes sense. And I'll have to show you after this. I'll show you the clips I'm talking about. But the thing is that without spatial audio, without binaural or HRTF, there is no difference between above, below, in front, behind, in front above, in front below, in front. I mean, like literally there's an entire plane that is indistinguishable.
Yeah.
So I'm on Lighthouse on like the USEC, the big USEC like chalet, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
and I'm on the deck outside, like in the corner, and I hear a dude running around the building, and I'm like holding the a little wooden like deck staircase. I actually didn't know exactly. I thought that the staircase just went down to like the sidewalk,
Yeah.
but it didn't. So I hear the guy run, and then he runs kind of like I'm on the far side, so I can't see him. He's running along like the bottom
Yeah.
of the deck, takes a left, and I'm literally just kind of following it. He runs over, you hear him jump, like run through a bush, then you hear him jump up again, and now I'm looking towards the like front door of the
Yep.
place. And then I hear clunk, 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 kind of a little bit to my left. So I'm like, okay, he just ran into like the front door.
Mhm.
I'm expecting to see him maybe run towards the front door and I can shoot him. And you hear like clunk, clunk, clunk as he takes a couple steps to the left, and all of a sudden, bang, 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 I die to a RFB. And as I'm dying, you hear the guy prone out on my body. And you can tell when I'm dying that the shots, because my body kind of falls to the left, you can tell that it's directly behind me.
Yeah.
And it was like, was there two? Like, what the was that?
Yeah.
Because it was literally like under me, in front of me, bang, I was dead. He's prone on my body. Like, how the is that possible?
Yeah.
I get a message from the guy.
Really?
He sent me a friend request and was like, "Did you not hear me at all?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I just walked right up to you and you had your back turned and you didn't even see." I'm like, "Dog, you need to come to my." I'm like, "This is Veritas. Come to my stream. Let me show you." And I was like, "What? I really wish that I could see your perspective." And he's like, "Oh, I have it recorded."
Oh.
So I got the recording. He ran around exactly where I thought, but instead of continuing to go in that direction and then like going in the front door, he looped around, pulled a 180, so directly underneath me, and then ran backwards. And the staircase is like this on the deck, and I was here looking this way. So if I'm right here looking this way, he runs like this under me, and then he does this.
Yeah.
It all sounds like he's in front, goes up the stairs, in front, and then he's. And because the difference between like 5 feet and 10 feet, like there's not really a volume difference.
Yeah.
So it just sounded like he could have been running in place directly underneath me, and I wouldn't know. It all sounds exactly the same. But then you watch it side by side, and it actually makes sense.
Yep.
When you understand the precise way in which Tarkov's audio is insufficient because there's no HRTF.
And
like,
when you talked about in your video and multiple of your videos, how like our brain is hardwired to fill in the blanks. If somebody is running a very consistent direction, if they 180 and we have no audio cue, our brain is going to be like, he's continuing to run that direction.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like we need the audio cue to change. We need that HRTF.
And I didn't know the map. I didn't know that there was a staircase there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been holding the staircase because he couldn't have gotten there from in front.
Yeah.
So to me, it was like either he was like invisible or he was completely silent, or there was two. Everybody was sure he was an invisible, even though I could hear the gunshots.
Yeah.
Like, so he definitely wasn't an invisible player. Everybody was sure there was two. And it turns out that everything was exactly like you would expect.
And that's like
if you don't make the
worst
assumption.
Case scenario with our current audio is somebody changing direction directly underneath you, because you're never going to get that, you know what I mean? If you can't see them, or if they're not making a hard right or left, because that's what works, the stereo. If they're in front of you and they take a right, you'll hear that. If they take a left, but to just 180 directly underneath you, you're never going to perceive that at all. That's crazy. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. Oh, and then the cheater one, I spawn in on Lighthouse. I spawn on the rocks directly overlooking the USEC chalet. You know how you can just run right back into the And I go up the stairs into the second floor. And then kaboom, I get headshotted in my helmet, and I'm in like the front right room.
Okay.
And like in the back left bedroom, I hear the glass break. And I go right against my head. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then another headshot. And I'm like, oh, great. So I run over into the back room, like prone in the room. And I hear sprinting all around. I hear like the guy jumps up on the roof, and he's coming around the back to the exact window you would need to, like, I'm holding the doorway, the one doorway, but he goes outside.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, so then I walk around kind of slowly over to the other bedroom, and I hear the guy going clink, clink, clink around the metal roof. And then all of a sudden, boom, I'm dead. And you see 2 frames of the guy just soaring, not even soaring through the air, but like falling or jumping or whatever. Just like the walls here, and you just see, bang, and I'm just dead. A double headshot, and it's like, oh, okay. I mean, that guy's, and it was a level 58 EOD.
Yeah. Yep. It's brutal. It's brutal. And it's like, it's just all the, it's just all the things. Like, there's no need to talk about them all again, but it's all the things that like just make me so frustrating. The lighting or the spawns, like the spawns on reserve are so bad. The lighting on interchange, and like how it like, man, did you ever, you probably didn't because it's a really long video, but did you ever watch that video, the like why it's rude to be bad at World of Warcraft?
I never finished it.
Yeah. But just like that whole concept of like, with given like a long enough time, metas will form, and then something happens socially that like not conforming to the meta is a bad thing. I was on interchange, which, the lighting is bad. And you know how on interchange, like a thing with the lighting is that like sometimes it feels like flashlights make it worse, not better. Like the flashlight is reflecting off the fog, like turning on your high beams on a super foggy day. I had grabbed a gun from my stash of a guy that I killed, and I liked the way it was built, and it had some attachments on it that I don't normally run, but I was like, this is kind of cool, so I did it. And it had a different flashlight, bro, and it had one of the newer just flashlights. There's no lasers, just a
Surefire, I think.
Yeah, one of the tan ones, and it was a beam, bro. It wasn't very wide, it was very focused, and it was bright. And I immediately was like, I hate this, because you can't, you turn it on and it's just this, your screen goes from all black to all white.
It doesn't illuminate anything.
And so whatever it is, whatever that thing of like shining your high beams in foggy weather, where it's just like you're just reflecting the fog back into your face, dude.
That's a good, I've never thought about that, but that's exactly what it's like.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. We found Killa, and so I'm like, don't mess this up. Find Killa, dude. And the alarm is going, and my teammates are trying to come. PMCs were pushing us from behind, and I'm trying to find Killa. And the quest on interchange where you're an avocado and you have to plant the contacts in the 6B47. There was a guy on the pile of junk, and I clear avocado, and I turn the flashlight on, and now I can't even see avocado. So I turn the flashlight off, and I can't see anybody, and I die. And I was so confused. I thought the guy was maybe from Rasmussen shooting across at me. And we watched the clip 100 times before chat was like, those 3 pixels move. And I was like freeze framing it, screenshotting it, and zooming in and being like, oh yeah, these 3 pixels 3 frames later are higher. He was prone doing his quest, I'm assuming, which is why he didn't shoot me when I initially entered. He stood up. I got no audio of him standing up. And then I just start see tracers firing. That was the closest I thought. I really thought I died to an invisible player for a second. But upon further inspection, and it was like, and the actual flashlight. So I'm mad on so many levels where I'm like, this sucks, because the thing that's like, even if your argument is the lighting is supposed to be dark, get good, all the things the game gives you to get good, which are night vision and flashlights, don't work on interchange. So it's like, you can't even get good. And then people are like, people in chat are like, why'd you bring that flashlight? And I'm like, because this shouldn't be a conversation. The type of flashlight I bring shouldn't be in. It shouldn't be. And that made me think of that video where it's like, if you used an X400 or a dimmer flashlight, you would have saw him. And I was like, what are you arguing for? Like, what universe are we in that like you're mad at me because I had the wrong flashlight? That's like, you're condemning the game. Don't get mad at me. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, I'm losing my mind. You know what I mean? Like, you brought the wrong flashlight, bro. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, there's 30 flashlights and only one of them works, man. Clearly it's your fault. Like, don't be upset with the game being busted.
Dude, you want 3 clicks, play Valorant or whatever that guy said.
CSGO, play CS if you want 3 clicks. Mean, dude. I still don't get. I still don't get that in the best way. If you want 3 clicks, go play CS.
So
are you talking about?
So
dude?
I was like, bro, I am so beaten down. Like I lost Killa. I didn't get to fight the PMC. It just like, I just died. I didn't get the audio of him standing up. But then when we watched the clip back, I could kind of see him standing up. And so like, man, it's so many things all aggregating together. And if you can't clutch it up on the raids that feel good, then your just whole experience feels bad. You know what I mean? So,
Dude, I mean, that's just it's another symptom of this idea that, and I don't know if it's that like people just don't like certain people just don't like certain streamers, or you know, the people are constantly hate watching, or if people like lack the social skills to recognize that the whole like you made a mistake, or there was a judgment, or whatever
yeah.
it was, you're upset at the outcome. I have to point out either that I would have done it differently and better,
Yeah.
or it's this whole idea that like that nothing is ever the game's fault.
Yeah.
Everything's always exactly what is intended. Always, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, the lighting's supposed to be dark on interchange. So I have it on good authority from experts, let's just say, that the lighting, like the way that the lighting and the fog and everything it works on interchange is, it's literally like you have experience with Photoshop, right?
Yeah.
You know how there's like the drop down for like blend mode?
Yeah.
You know, there's like difference, screen,
Yep, yep, yep,
overlay,
yep.
all of those things. The like fog and lighting like has settings like that, and they have just the wrong one.
Oh shoot. And they have the right one on all the other maps. Because the thing that gets me about interchange is the night vision. Like the night vision is a very clear example of how something is different specifically about interchange.
Yeah, so interchange is definitely a
Something.
There is a special case, although there is issues with all the other maps with lighting, with fog and stuff.
With
but
different parts of those maps or whatever.
Especially when you like look through a scope and all of a sudden it's like foggy and then it's clear and then foggy. And it's like the magnified scope. You can't see the guy on the machine gun on the roof or whatever. But yeah, but people are like, oh, well, you know, they want it to be dark. They want it to be, and it's like the people. It's almost like they're like a member of a cult.
Yeah,
it feels like sometimes I'm interacting with cult members who the leader can't be wrong.
Yeah,
and they're not even defending. Like these people are often the same people who are like, Nikita just wants the money, blah blah blah. Like they're those types of people very often too. So it's not even Nikita. It's the game being dog is what they want, and it's what anything that supports that, you having a bad experience in the game, which, talking to Jonathan Blow, we just straight up threw out the window. And now it's not just me saying it, it's a game design luminary, you know, saying it, that there's a difference between dog frustrating game design and hardcore frustrating, punishing, difficult game design.
And it's just one. I agree. I think there's some subconscious, and I think for most people it is subconscious. Like it's for most people that they don't know, but there is something about this, like this bug has been in the game for so long that even if we can concede it's a bug, you should know by now to do it this way. So even though ultimately black and white, what you did was you interacted with bad game design or a bad bug, there has some subconscious shift has happened where it's got to be your fault. You should know not to. That's why I start to read. You should know not to left hand peek. You know what I mean? It's like
you should know not to re-peek a raider within 17 minutes.
It's not my fault that their reaction time is sub 1 nanosecond. You know what I mean? Like, but you should know not to re-peek. You should know not to right left side peek. You should only right side peek. And it's like, man, screw you. You know what I mean? It's just like, it doesn't matter that, I don't know. It just doesn't matter that it's an exploitable thing or it's a learnable mechanic. It's just a bad mechanic. And me and Trey were talking about this today when, because we were reflecting back on the like the new player experience when so much of the community are so used to bad game design and bugs that it becomes rude to them that you don't exploit those things the way they do. When that's half of the community, if the other half of the community is new, how would you ever bridge that information gap if you were new? You know what I mean? How would you ever know those things? Because they're so frustrated. Like, the veterans are so frustrated at you that you even have to state the bug. You should just know to right side peek. You should just know to never repeek a row. The fact that you, as a veteran, are even talking about this is it's just your fault. How would a new player ever bridge that gap? And Trey was like, oh, and I was like, what, man? And he was like, he read a chat message to me, and he was like, is it normal that it's taking 43 minutes to get into a lighthouse raid? And we all go, your matching bug. But how the hell would he know? He was like brand new. He was like, it's my second day or whatever he said. And it was just like, and I feel so bad because I'm like, you could have been in 2 raids by now. It's like, if you're matching for more than 4 minutes, bro, Alt F4. How would he ever know that? Dude's trying to play the game. And so it's just like,
you're not going to Alt F4 because then you'll lose the 40 minutes of progress you just made towards getting into a raid.
Exactly. So it's just like,
and you know what the best part
bad.
is too, is that some of the things that you're talking about too are urban legends and myths, you know, that get propagated forever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude, you have Steam audio on? Yeah, that's the reason why this thing is, or that's the reason why this thing is bad.
Go to an offline
whatever.
raid and it'll fix your visor.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like all of that where it becomes this like, oh, you don't know about the magic Ouija board mythical rain dance summoning ritual that you're supposed to do to, oh, okay, yeah, this is what you have to do.
And that's why I find it so funny when we get the invisibility bug and I'm like, chat, what do we do? And half of the messages are you Alt F4 and the other half of the messages are no trainings to Alt F4. And I'm like, come on, dude. And then somebody in Trey's chat was like, imagining streaming this game as much as you do and not knowing how to fix that bug. And Trey was like, what do you mean? Like, you don't know how to fix it either. Like, it's just, dude, it's so, it's just so, man. It's so brutal. Can you?
It would all be better if people wouldn't just be, and would just let us all be frustrated.
Yeah.
And not have to pretend like they're all, well, actually,
because as I've said many times, most of the time we just need a minute. You know what I mean? I just need a minute to mold. Like, I'm not going to spend the rest of the night. But what happens is if you can't give me the minute and you come in with some super snarky bullcrap, well, now I don't need a minute. I need 10 minutes because I need to tell you why you're stupid. You know what I mean? But if you had just waited in 30 seconds, I would have gone, whatever. Let's get into another one, boys. You know what?
Dude, exactly.
I just need a minute to be mad.
And that's what happened today with the failed 1v5. Like, a huge portion of it not going the way I wanted to was the recoil being stupid and busted and broken.
Yeah.
And then half of it was I didn't pay attention to my ammo properly.
Yeah.
I lost track. I lost count. And then but part of that's like my frustration with the game distracting me from the whatever. And like, so I'm just pissed overall in general. And I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm so mad I didn't count my bullets.
Yeah.
No, I'm mad that Tarkov, tied my shoes together and then I decided to run. Like, I shouldn't have ran.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't have tied my shoelaces together. And then I mauled about it for 7 minutes. And then I have 8 hours of a stream that's good. And then there's a Reddit post that I guarantee you probably has 1,000 fucking upvotes.
Yeah.
About how Veritas molding, and whatever.
Yeah.
And then, I get hundreds of hate watchers and commenters today that I got to ban because of it.
Yeah. We just need a minute. Just give us a minute. And then we'll be back.
Yeah. And nobody cares that you would have done it better or you would have done it differently. Because chances are you probably wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Just because you can think of I wouldn't have repeaked, I would have done this other thing, and they just assume that would have worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing is that there's an infinite number of things you can do in any situation, and there's no way to know what the outcome is.
Yeah.
Some subset are going to be successful.
Yeah. And there's a million situations. And three raids ago, I had a 500 IQ moment and wiped a 3-man. And you're not like, oh, I would have died there. You know what I mean? You just like, yeah.
No, but the only reason why you succeeded there was because they had the bad recoil and the broken sound, and you were invisible.
They probably couldn't hear you, bro. It wasn't a fair fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Can you explain, because it's been a long time since I've watched your video on this subject, how does fragmentation work in this game? How does it work? And is that how it's supposed to work? And then I'll
knows
okay
how it's supposed to work.
And
I don't know what the
I'll
intention
describe
is.
to you a situation that happened to me, and you can tell me if this makes sense or not.
Yeah, so I will describe to you the way it manifests in game.
In game.
Now the fact that I told Nikita about this thing like 3 years ago, and like multiple times since then, before then, after then, and nothing's happened, makes me think that I have a feeling it's a bug.
Yeah,
but it's one of those bugs that's like, well, this is just we live with this now, like,
yeah,
and then they balance around the bug rather than fix the bug. So if a bullet has more than whatever the threshold is, I don't remember if it's like
it was
20, 25, something like that, 20 or 25 pen.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have above that, it'll never fragment, despite, you know, like rip ammo will have a 100% fragmentation.
Yeah.
If it actually had a 100% fragmentation chance, then that would mean like every round would do like 600 damage or something. Like it would be busted.
Yeah.
But let's say a bullet has a 50%. I'm just making this up. There's a fake bullet that has 100 pen and a 50% frag chance.
Yeah.
That means every time you get, and it does, let's say it does 50 damage.
Okay.
Every time the bullet hits you, the game rolls the dice.
Yep.
And if it's heads, it fragments. Tails, it doesn't. And if it fragments, it's going to do 50% more damage. So if it 50% of the time, it does 75. So it'll be 50, 75, 50, 50, 75, 75, 75, 50, 75, 50. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
50% more damage.
The thing is that there's like a fragmentation count variable, and so if you're going to ask me anything related to the post-raid screen, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's broken half the time.
Yeah.
Don't rely on it for everything.
Yeah.
No, but
because
it wouldn't make sense. So the thing about the fragmentation, like if you look at the code and if you look at like the numbers, you would think that would change. That would make like the damage different. But see, the thing is that like, at least the last time I tested it, if there was a number of fragments and that was relevant, you would think that like if it's a 50 damage bullet, that sometimes it would do like somewhere between 50 and 75, right? Like, it fragmented, there was 3 fragments versus 2, or the fragment would go through your arm and one fragment would hit your other arm, one would hit your chest, or it's like it's almost never, I've never witnessed that. It's always been you take 50 or you take 75. Now with the damage overflow, all I know is that after when I pointed out to Nikita and he was like, oh, that's unintended, the whole like blacked out arm damage or the blacked out damage modifier stuff that they then changed, but they fixed it 80% and it's still broken in 20% of the cases. So it's like, it's not doing what it's intended, except it is sometimes. And when it isn't, it's doing this other unintended, undefined thing. I just stopped giving a I'm not updating the calculators in Battle Buddy. Like I've given up. It's nonsense to me.
No, I get you. Because, and the reason why is because like, and I know the post-raid screen is so often so busted and so like, there's not a whole, like, it's hard to discern, especially if you're a newer player and you haven't had these conversations 1,000 times, what information you should be retaining from those post-raid screens. But what manifested itself, because chat was convinced, or at least a portion of chat was convinced that like what happens when a round fragments is it fragments into 5 to 7 pieces, and those pieces play pinball inside of your body and can just like wreck your life. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, it's pretty much just like it does 50% more damage or it doesn't do 50% more damage. Because me and Trey were playing, and I was scoped on a scav, and then I heard someone prone behind me, just like full auto, and I got hit once, and so my leg went black, and so like I've slowed it down. My leg went black, and my whole body went deep, deep, dark red.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got hit a second time, and I died. And I'm not. What I think happened is that my game wasn't registering the additional shots on me because I could hear him full autoing. And I just went, dead. I got hit once. I wasn't like, you know what I mean? Like I hit got once and my whole body lit up deep, deep red. And then the post-raid screen, and it was leg, the post-raid screen said that I only got shot once with 5.6A1 in the leg. And every other limb said collateral from right leg, parentheses 7, M856A1. And I was like, what does that mean?
My understanding of collateral, and I hate that they worded it this way, because collateral in every other first-person shooter is you get like a 2-for-1 where you hit like 2 headshots.
It hits my leg and it collaterals my other leg if it went sideways. Like,
well, Tarkov's the only game where collateraling legs.
Yeah.
Like, because in every other game, your body is one box.
Entity. Yeah.
There's not like different legs, so it's always like it went through you and hit another guy.
Yeah.
You get a collat. It's you snipe 2 shots, 1 kill. Basically.
1 shot, 2 kills. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. One shot, 2 kills. Sorry. So, but the collateral damage for the limbs, I am 85% sure, and it's only because it's been like a year since I've tested this stuff.
Yeah.
So at any point they could have changed anything.
Sure.
So I'm not gonna say objectively, but this is the way it was forever, and I tested it a million times. Collateral is the overflow, so you would see overflow in all of your body, in limbs, evenly.
Yeah.
Which you describe is what happened. Now, what bullet hit you? Actually, wait, I have the clip.
5.6A1.
8.56A1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so
let me see.
It was just weird how it manifested, and that's ultimately what I came to was he probably hit me more than the amount of times the post-raid screen is telling me he hit me, and he probably hit me more times than my character told me when I was in the raid, that there was some sort of hit registration thing, because I could hear him going full auto, but my character felt like he only took 2 shots. It was like boom, and then the second shot killed me, but I lit up like a Christmas tree. So I was like, the most likely thing is he was lasering me in the legs, which I have no idea why with 5.6A1, but whatever. And he was probably just kept hitting me, and it was probably the 1 shot blacked out the leg, hit me 7 more times, and those 7 shots counted as overflow damage, and I died. And that just didn't. That wasn't what the game showed me, but I was like, that's probably what happened. Is he just laser beamed my leg?
Yeah. The fact that it said, because I mean, like, there's literally no way that it's impossible that the bullet would fragment, and then every bullet would perfectly hit every other.
Exactly. But that's, chat was like, it's fragmentation. Stop being mad about this. And I'm like, there's no shot, bro. Like, that's not how fragmentation works. Like, and it's like, we're not really splitting hairs here. Like, this is kind of important to understand how you died. The overflow damage killed me there. It wasn't fragmentation. It wasn't M856A1 splitting into 6 different bullets and then those things ping-ponging around my whole body. It was there was probably some sort of bug here with hit registration. I was getting shot more than the game was telling me I was getting shot. From his perspective, I would have loved to grab his clip. He was probably prone. He probably saw my leg and just went, and I died because of that. It wasn't like, but this fragmentation is just a catch-all where, like, if the post-raid screen stats seem weird, it was just probably fragmentation, dude, move on. And it's like, I don't think that that's how it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is once again just more about how how bugs and bad game design leads to like a toxic community.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of fragmentation is basically a crit. You don't even need to, like, contrary to what it says in the code, you can just treat a frag. There's one bullet. Nothing happens with the bullet. So the way you should think about it is more like an expansion. Like a hollow point expands.
Yeah.
It's almost like that. Whereas, which is ironic because it's only like typically like hollow points are in real life are like the low penetrating high damage rounds, but that doesn't work in Tarkov. It's like none of it makes any sense, but people have a mixture of misunderstanding bad information they've been given from content creators videos and Reddit, and then misleading information in the game that confirms everything. They don't think twice about it, and they say, oh no, it all makes sense, it's just complicated. You wouldn't, you don't get it.
And ultimately that's the most frustrating thing, is that like the way to fix it is if the game just gave you accurate information. You know what I mean? Like if the game explained the mechanics and then gave accurate information. Like it's not even, you can't even get mad at streamers that have miss or old information. Like if the game just freaking told you, then
no, but the game can't tell you because it's inscrutable. Like I don't know if I've ever shown you. I'm literally pulling this up as we speak right now. I am going to send you a screenshot of the snippet of code.
Okay.
That the ballistics engine. The snippet of code that is what determines when you have a bullet hits armor. How much of the durability is going to get taken off of the armor? I'm going to screenshot you the snippet of code, and obviously, like I'm not going to say any of the details around like what the formulas are. But once I send this to you, you will see why they can't explain any of these mechanics. And give me a minute. Xcode's taking forever to open up. Why they can't explain any of these mechanics.
Yeah.
Because like if you have an algebra formula with 14 variables.
Yep. I was
half of which they do not give you.
Yeah, I was I was going down this rabbit hole because I was making a video on some of the armors, because some of the armors got buffed, and I was making a video on it. And I was like refreshing my memory on how all the armor and stuff worked, and then I went to the wiki and I was like, and I just found this sentence to be hilarious because none of this information is given to the player. And it was like, the durability taken from bullets is based on the penetration value of the ammo and the armor level of the maximum armor multiplied by the armor's armor damage percentage and the armor material's destructibility percentage. And I just like read that sentence and I laughed because I was just like, and none of those things are shown to the player. I was like, okay.
And what they don't tell you is that all of those numbers that they gave you, half of which they don't give you in the game.
Yeah.
All of the stuff that those are then rounded, multiplied, divided, added, rounded, multiplied, and clamped between numbers like 1.3 and 0.9 and like. So I sent you the screenshot.
Okay.
So this is my calculate durability damage. There's a minimum value and there's a maximum value. Those two, and I'm gonna like walk you through this. Those two depend on whether or not the bullet penetrated the armor or not.
Yep.
So basically, you have this range where if it penetrated, there's like this range. If it didn't penetrate, there's this range.
Okay.
And these are multiple numbers between 0 and 2. So there's a minimum and a maximum, and then the formula involves division, multiplication of the pen of the ammo, the armor class multiplied by other numbers, then clamped within the range I told you. And then you take that, multiply it by penetration, and then there's the armor damage of the bullet, and then the destructibility of the armor. All of this is all combined in a magical formula.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they can't. And that, dude, that's one of the simplest calculations in the ballistics.
Yep. And not only do they not give you, so like armor destructibility seems like a value that would be beneficial for the player to know, because you could kind of fill in the blanks where if the range was like 0 to 10, you think, oh, the higher the number, the more destructible it is. Okay, so even though these armors are both class 5, but instead of giving you that, what the game does give you is the armor material.
Ultra high molecular weight polyethylene.
Which doesn't tell you anything, even though that material is just a stand-in, because all that material dictates is how much you pay to repair it and its destructibility. So it's like they don't give you the value, they give you the fancy, completely arbitrary name for the value, right? Like, for all intents and purposes, aluminum is in Tarkov is not anything other than armor destructibility value.
Yeah, a couple of floating point numbers.
Yeah, and so it's like, it's just so funny because it's not just that it doesn't give you the relevant information, is that it gives you irrelevant information that's supposed to stand in for the relevant information that you would never know.
Yeah, so like one more screenshot incoming. The now keep in mind a number of the things that you see there are functions. So like you see line 76 there, the resulting durability damage equals calculate durability damage.
Yeah.
That's the function I showed you before. So that one line is actually like 6 lines.
Yeah.
So that is effectively all of the logic for when a bullet hits. Like one bullet impact on one surface. Actually, this would be armor and the person.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? Oh, so keep in mind all of this magic. All of these wacky formulas and rounding and multiplying by all these fractions. And the end result of every encounter is basically, do you die in 1 shot or 4 shots?
Yeah.
So this is why I have been like advocating for so long. I mean, like something like Valorant or even like CSGO or all these other games, they just do it better. Where it's like, imagine you could just use integers. It's like, imagine that the logic was, and this is the way that I would do it, honestly. I would do it this way, and not only would it be easier to understand, but you can actually communicate it in game and explain it in game, and the actual resulting time to kill would be exactly the same.
Okay.
I would make it so that armor is basically like, you can think about it like a shield, where it takes the damage until it hits 0, and then nothing happens after that. And then it's all, there's no like penetration chance. It's all basically like, can this bullet penetrate that armor? No. Well, then do the full damage to the armor HP.
Yeah.
Until it gets to 0. Unless, you know, maybe if it's like a 6-pen bullet versus a 3 armor class armor, well then it just ignores the armor and goes right through it. You still literally, like, at that point now you have like 100 HP and the bullet does 20 damage. It's like, it's either going to take 5 shots to kill you, or if it you know, like, it's so much easier. They could just do it simply like that without having all this bullshit. And the thing is that it's not any more realistic. It's just difficult to debug, to understand. Like, I promise you, I guarantee you, when you look at the code, I guarantee you a QA guy, if they're like, hey, we rebalanced the ammo, go test it. I guarantee the QA guy is going to shoot somebody and like they died in 3 shots. Like, that could be the 10% frag that makes it 3 shots. It could be exactly as intended, normally no frag. It could be completely broken and bugged, you know, like PRS used to be.
Yeah.
But they don't know.
Yeah.
There's no way to say this is how many shots you'll die in. Yeah. Because there's RNG and then there's this magic math.
Would that at all also like save system resources and server resources because of how much of that math is being like, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if that's like really an irrelevant amount of math that's
if
happening.
there's one thing that computers do well, it's algebra,
quick math.
brute force.
Yeah.
Like, so for example, you know how I have the like ballistic simulation?
Yeah.
So I can run through 100,000 of these encounters where the time to kill is like anywhere from 1 to 30 bullets.
Yeah.
100,000 of them in less than a second on a cell phone.
Okay, so yeah.
Like when you do the ballistic simulation where you have like you choose the two guys with the two armor, it's running 10,000 iterations.
Really?
Like, yeah, instantly, and it uses less than 1% of the CPU. It's trivial. But
damn.
So math is not hard for
the computer to do.
Yeah. It's I'm sure a lot harder to do. It's going to be more processing to do like all the ray casting to figure out like and the ballistics, the trajectories of the bullets, and to figure out like the hit registration. That I'm sure has a lot more to do with it. But like the actual when the bullet hits, it can run through 10,000 math problems and it would be trivial.
By the way, you got a update battle buddy. I wanted to say battle bit and buddy just for me because I use it so much.
Dude, I at this point I feel bad that the calculators are just out of date now.
Yeah.
Like the items automatically update because it's all scripted and everything like that. Like once a day it'll grab new stuff. But the formulas,
and I've noticed some of like dependent damage values haven't changed from some of these recent changes.
So that's funky. I'll have to check that.
Yeah.
Because that shouldn't be the case. But yeah, I mean like there's a number of reasons why. First of all, it's free.
Yeah.
Even though I pay monthly, so I have to pay for my like Apple developer license. I have to pay monthly for all my server costs. And because I took like a break from working on it, and during that break they came out with like 3 versions of Xcode that were new, like 2 iOS versions that were new, a new version of like Mac OS X that I would need to download to get like the proper SDK, and then a bunch of my dependencies, like I use a Google product called Firebase, a bunch of those frameworks updated, and now it's like if I pull the code up and I run it on my computer, it's like, oh, you have 950 compiler errors because like the date and you have like this mismatched version, and it's like, honestly, I just need to spend like $3,500 to get a new laptop to update all the software and then start from scratch just to get it running.
Yeah. I totally understand that. It seems like a tremendous amount of work, and it seems like with how often Tarkov and changes and stuff like that, it's just, man, it's far and away the best tool to use.
I know.
And so yeah, I love it. I use Battle Buddy a lot.
Yeah, and the other downside too is that it's a ton of extra work for the ballistic stuff because I actually it's so you know how like you can put third-party frameworks in your software, like Steam Audio was a third-party framework. My ballistics engine I built as if it was a third-party framework so that I could compile it into like a binary. So compile it into like, you can kind of think about it like a .exe.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's a framework, not source code.
Understood.
So that like if you decompile the app and deobfuscate it, then you won't be able to see the formulas. It's literally easier to decompile Tarkov and see the math than it is. But because it's not my stuff.
Of course. You wanted to do it the right way, yeah.
So, and that is an annoying 25-step process that makes it that much more annoying and cumbersome. And basically I have to learn how to do it a totally different way than I did before because of all the updates. So it's like I'm just dreading the day.
Yeah, I get it. I do. I really do.
But every day I get a dozen people that come and say, hey, is Battle Buddy up to date? And it's like, I mean, like, I don't know, dude. I try not to think about it, honestly.
Yeah, I try.
It feels like like something you've been procrastinating on that you are avoiding, you know, like you got to go to the dentist to get a filling, or it's like that. Like I just don't. I don't know if it's up to date. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to look at it. Like the fact that it has 800,000 downloads, I never monetized it, and then everybody.
Bro. Yeah, I mean, and maybe there's a time. Maybe the time isn't now. Maybe that, like, maybe a year from now or something, when we're actually staring down the barrel of like potentially 1.0. You're like, you know what? I'll update it. I'll get it all ready. I'll put some ads in there so that it's worthwhile for you, and there'll be, you know what I mean? And it'll be like, yeah, like.
And I know as soon as I update the ballistics engine, they're gonna make a goddamn change like they did. And like that's part of the reason why I didn't do it right away when they fixed the whole like blacked out limb overflow, because the problem is, that's the other thing too, is that like I have to reproduce in order for it to be a useful tool. I have to write their bugs
into the code.
I literally had to write in the same law, and I have comments in my code because it used to be open source. I actually have comments in my code saying this is a bug. Blame BSG for this code that's stupid that I'm writing in here that I don't want to write, but it replicates exactly what Tarkov does about how the blacked out damage thing, where it's like if not this thing, do this, when it should be if this thing. And so I had to reproduce the bugs. So now I have to reverse engineer the new bug, because it used to be, the issue was when you got hit in a blacked out limb, when you had a bunch of other limbs that were blacked out, the damage that would go to those limbs just goes nowhere.
And you wouldn't take that damage.
So the way it should have been was that should be spread to the remaining HP limbs. Evenly distributed between those limbs, and they did that, except
if one of those limbs was close to 0.
Because if it's got 1 HP and it's supposed to take 50 damage, then technically it should take 1 damage, and that 49 should spread to the rest. But it doesn't do that. So I would have to literally write the bugs into my code. Otherwise it's not a useful tool, and it won't match, and if people test it, they'll say this isn't right.
Exactly. I get it. Honestly, I wouldn't do it either at all. As a user, I'm sad, but if I was you, I wouldn't do it either. That's just so much. It's so much. And I know you, I mean, it took a tremendous amount of work to even get out. You know, you were working on it for forever, so. But I'll always be a battle buddy. I was one of the first. So what kind of brought me to the battle buddy conversation and like fragmentation and stuff like that I was doing some videos on. So you know how we talked about we talked about previously, one of the changes that they had made was something we had asked for, which was 3 of the armors got their durability buffed. Not their class buffed, but the Thor armor, which is a class 6, went from 55 durability to 75.
Is that the green one?
No, it's the tan class 6 armor.
Yeah.
And then the Rita, the green class 5, got its durability buff from 60 to 80. And then the Gen 4 full with the arms and the stomach and everything got buffed from 95 to 110. And I actually made a video that should be coming out tomorrow about like, those changes are significant. Like, and trying to just like, because we try to, it's complicated, and obviously it's too complicated, and you don't feel like as a player you have to know those things. But a lot of times we do, you know, we try to oversimplify the complex so that we can just get by, basically. And I was like, that's why, you know, a class 5 armor, you know, a Korund, it has the lowest durability of a class 5 armor at 45. And a Gen 4 full now has 110. Those are both class 5 armors, and no matter what ammo you're using, your pen chance, as long as those armors are at 100% durability, are just going to be the same. But after you get hit, oh boy, does that durability matter. And if your Korund goes from 45 to 25, you basically have no armor on, you know what I mean? Like, you're screwed.
It's a 2-shot shield rather than a
Exactly.
6-shot shield.
But if a Gen 4 goes from 110 to 99, you still got armor, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
like I made a video that should be coming out tomorrow trying to like elaborate on that and show that like, hey, these heavier armors might be worth it now. And it might actually increase the time to kill but have some negatives. They've got the movement speed, they're heavier, but they might actually protect you. Well, today's the 8th, right? Yesterday, they did another pass and they buffed the samurai armor. You know that one? The full.
I haven't worn that in
Forever,
150,000. I think I've worn twice ever.
Yeah. So they buffed that, which is class 5 from 100 to 120. They buffed the Thor again. So the tan class 6 went from 55 to 75, and then yesterday it went from 75 to 90. And then they buffed the Zabralo from 85 to 120. So the Zabralo has the most durability of any armor in the game, tied with the Samurai now. 120 is the highest that number goes. And it's class 6, and it covers your arms and your stomach. So, like, it's fried in a good way because it's heavy as junk, and it has the most egregious turn speed modifiers, even though those were halved. Because it was halved across the board, it still has the worst. Does that make sense? 120 durability, class 6 armor, bro.
Dude, and see, like, my first gut was like, yo, take that into factory with an Alton. And then I remembered the one factory raid I did yesterday where I was fully kitted. And I was actually trying to do silent caliber.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll take in the flechette and whatever. And I see a naked dude. And I go pop, 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 and hit him with flechette, like half of the spray and like his arms, and he was really up. And then he turns the corner and kablow! I had 7 HP. Left.
Yep.
1 KS to the knee, and I have 7 HP left, and now I'm fully geared, and all my armor is 100%. And he killed me.
Yep.
He killed me because we both kind of ran through the door at the same time, and I got barrel stuff with the suppressor, and he just kablow, right in the fucking legs.
And it's like player scavs can spawn with KSs now.
I just sold both my KSs actually to mechanic.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't want to be a part of the problem, dude. I need to be a part of the solution.
Yeah,
you need to be the change you want to be
see
in the world.
Yeah. But so like, what's funny is that like the Zabralo would be cheeks for factory because of that exact reason. But like on customs, like on a smaller, like a mid-sized map, you know really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, like that's gonna be insane. Like the thing,
assuming that nobody just sees you when you're running with your back to them, and then you just get one tapped to the M80, the back of the head.
For sure.
You know, like
you're still in. You can get one tapped to the face, or if you're not wearing a good helmet with that, you know what I mean. You can get one tapped to the back of the head.
There's no way I won't wear a face shield.
Exactly.
If I'm gonna wear that,
if you're investing in that,
shield.
you have to go big. But it's pretty cool because it feels like and it should have some detractors. It should be heavy, and it should cost a lot to repair. Like I don't mind that those things are part of that armor but it should provide enough value to make that a valuable exchange, even if it's not personally your preference. I hate Altons. I hate wearing them. I will vendor them so fast. But I've never once truly, even though I meme on the Alton, doubted that the Alton has value. It's not my personal preference. You know what I mean? So that's where I want the heavy armors to be. Whether I decide that they fit in my play style or not, I want them to at least have value and like be worth the price investment for certain types of people. And so now I feel like the Zabralo and some of these heavier armors do, because really what you're buying, because of blunt damage, like you could have it feels like you could have level 100 armor on. You're gonna die in 5 chest shots. Like in all the testing I've done, like when I took some of my mods into offline raids and stuff like that, and I was like, so I had the class 6 and I had like 6A1, so like 37 pen. I got class 6. This is gonna tank it. Like 4 shots, the blunt damage means my thorax HP is like 7. So it's like, it kind of doesn't matter, but what you're buying with those higher durabilities is more fights. If you get out of that fight, if you win it and you heal your thorax, the armor is still in a condition to be considered a good armor. Whereas with a Gazelle or a Korund, if you win the fight, your armor's trash. It's 12 durability on a Korund or a Gazelle. It's not going to do anything.
You go to your bush, you discard it.
Exactly. So what you're buying isn't even necessarily a longer time to kill, even though it could manifest. What you're buying is like more fights out of an armor and less of a need to like immediately ditch it, which I find pretty cool.
I kind of wish they'd just get rid of blunt damage altogether.
I would not at all be opposed to that.
Because like it would just make things
fragmentation, camera recoil, delete them.
Yeah, I mean it would just be like things. I just wish things were simpler. And again, you can have the exact same time to kill. Like the things I'm asking for, all of the people that are like, oh, you just want it to be, you know, the Division bullet sponge.
Jesus Christ.
No. If nobody told you
that
that something changed, these systems could change and you would not have a different time to kill at all. I just want, like, rather than a calculus problem to determine whether it's 1 or 5 or 3 shots to kill, make it so that it's 1 + 1 + 1 kind of math problem.
Yeah.
Easier to debug, easier to understand, easier to explain to players, easier to put into tutorials in the game, or, you know,
because this is where these really weird opinions, like I've said before, when you get one tapped by M80 to an Alton and people freak out and they're like, M80's not supposed to one tap an Alton, and you open up the Battle Buddy thing and it's like 12%. It's like 12%. It shouldn't.
1 out of 8.
But 12% of the time it's gonna pen. And these are the things where it's like, when you have fragmentation, when you have blunt damage, when you have materials, when you have destructibility, when you have a calculus problem, it doesn't feel like you can reliably go, yeah, M80 is never going to pen. Like, it all feels weird, because did that pen because of blunt damage? Did it pen because of, did it just get the 1% chance? Like we all try to simplify it and be like, oh, if something doesn't have 50 pen, it can't pen class 5, because we're trying to simplify the stupidly complex things so that new players can learn. But then we get these weird things where it's like, one tap M80 to an Alton, what the hell? And it's like, okay, yes, technically it doesn't have 50 pen, but it has enough that sometimes it'll this and the blunt damage, and I'm sorry, good luck.
It's like they're trying to replicate like inconsistent quality control standards at the bullet manufacturing plant.
Yeah.
Like that's the realism they're trying to replicate, it feels like.
Yeah.
Like either your bullets perform consistently or they don't. Like what the like either your ceramic performs like there's no reason to just build that into the game.
Yeah.
Jonathan Blow would agree that, you know, giving your players the ability to learn mechanics and systems and to be able to make informed decisions is huge.
Yes.
But you can't make informed decisions at all. But here the problem is, it's the worst of all possible worlds, because people think they understand the systems, and they're making uninformed decisions without realizing
making uninformed decisions confidently.
Yeah, they're taking medication that they've never been told the side effects for by a medical doctor that isn't a medical doctor, you know.
And that's
got a Google degree.
And that's how you'll have stuff. You'll have, you know, people be like, X ammo is garbage. It's garbage, man. It never works. And then when we talk about, you know, Y ammo, they're like, oh, it's so good. Why did they remove it from the traders? And those two ammos have the exact same pen and damage stats. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like when we're talking about SMGs, people will talk about how, you know, PvP or AP, and it's just so good, use that. But when we talk 545 is a joke, man. 545 sucks. And it's like, look at what? They're the same. You don't understand. Yeah. Yep.
Sag, man. I mean, like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, you know, the good raids we had today were going completely naked on labs and somehow winning.
There were the fun raids that were not Tarkov-like, because Tarkov won't let you Tarkov.
And scavving streets and getting in less than 90 seconds after a raid starts and just bum rushing PMCs. That's fun.
I forgot about scav runs. I haven't done a scav run in 3 days.
Dude, start scav. Dude, scav army with your chat streets. 50% of the time you get in will less than 2 minutes after the raid starts and just chase shots religiously. It's just the most fun thing ever. And you know what's funny is that more often than not, the PMCs are super vibing with it. Like, we'll all be like, come out with your hands up and your pants down. This is the Tarkov PD. And they'll be like, yeah, come and get me. You know what? Like, it's all, dude, constant, like, amazing. Like, we had this one guy, he was like, yo, I'm a scout. I just killed the PMC up here. And me and Airwing were like, yeah, right, buddy, calm for us. He was like, no, I don't have function keys on my keyboard. And then he peeked the window and killed Airwing. And then I pushed him and died to him. And we didn't even care we died to him. It was hilarious, dude. Like, it's actually super funny. Most of the time, the PMCs are super chill with it. But like, I killed like a juicy 2-man today. It just like, those raids are so fun. So fun. But it's hard because that's where it's like, be the change you want to see in the world. I hate that scavs can spawn in that early. Of course, as a scav, it's super fun, but I hate it. So like, I feel bad that I perpetuate it. But
see, it's a little bit better now, actually, that scavs can have like killing scavs, player scavs is actually like worth it a lot because they have like labs cards on them. And if because there's so much good loot and they're all goblins, sometimes it's like, oh, they have a vertex.
Yeah, they delivered the loot
like,
to me.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. That's
so
true.
like it's better than it used to be. When it used to be, they would spawn in after every safe had already been hit. There's nothing there. And then they would like fighting them was just all risk, no reward.
Yeah.
So,
dude, I'm still in the thing that like, if I could get across from Nikita and like do what you did, where it was like, this is the experience you want, right? Yes, like with the raid series. Like, I think what Nikita wants for scavs is so much more realized. If you can't pick where you scav, scavs cannot spawn in at least until the raid is 10 minutes old. Maybe not factory, because factory is only 20 minutes, but until the raid is 10 minutes old. Bosses have a 60% spawn chance, but only 15% to spawn at the beginning of the raid. But a high percent chance that they might spawn at some point until the raid timer hits like 5 minutes. Because then what you're doing is you're leveling out where the PMCs, the scavs spawn. It's not just 2 maps. They spawn everywhere. They don't spawn in right at the beginning of the raid, but you give PMCs a reason to stay in the raid long enough that when the player scavs spawn in, there are still PMCs.
Yep.
That would be
the only other thing I would add
so much
is
more like what Nikita, I bet, would want for scavs.
That and extend the raid times.
Yeah.
Now more than ever, I'm exfilling when there's 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
It never used to be the case, but now there's enough. You have to go slow enough if you're like, farming the rogues and you get pinned down or whatever, where it's like you need more time. All of that you said would be amazing.
Yeah. Because like, just imagine like that would be such a reason to stay in the raids longer.
Oh, give you XP scaling with how long you're in the raid.
Oh yeah, that would be sick. That would actually be sick. Just like there's exploration bonuses and stuff like that. There should be a survival bonus, but then there should be like every 10 minutes you're in a raid, you get like a small bonus or something like that.
You know what it could be? So I think people would say, oh, well, then that's just going to have people spawn in and hide in a bush until the very end. So while I don't think that's a massive problem that, whatever, I think a better way of doing it would actually be the XP that you get normally increases as the raid goes. So you get kills through the end.
Because if you survive, you get a 1.5 times bonus. And it's like every 10 minutes you're in a raid, it could go from 1.5 to 1.6 to 1. That's like a 10% bonus to your XP. So engaging with the raid the most that you can for as long as you can ensures the most XP.
Yep.
That dude.
Yeah.
Because like it would give players a reason to stay in. Because the bosses, people love to engage with the bosses. The bosses have good loot. They have good ammo. It's a good PvP catalyst. You can get key cards. You're trying to get quests on. Imagine how less toxic quests would be if every boss had a 60% spawn chance. It was just not always at the beginning. You might die.
Yeah, and that would inherently slow down. the farming
Yep.
of them, because it's like, well, now you can't spawn in, instantly kill Rashala and get out in 5 minutes. Well, now it's going to be 40 minutes, and then you kill Rashala and what? Grab a couple of busted tier 5 armors
Yeah.
and some BT ammo
Yeah, the boss thing,
in an hour.
the boss thing in general is definitely one of those things where it was a problem. Let's attack the problem from every possible angle and then never talk to each other. So now we've just beaten it into the ground. Like most bosses, Kill is really the only one that's busted. Like Rashala's guards, the best thing you're getting off of them is busted AKs and BT with the occasional Alton, not that often. What do you get? Sturman, you got a freaking SVD and a stock AK. He doesn't wear armor or anything, right? Like you can.
The only thing that's good is the Igolnik,
Yeah, which everybody hates.
and there's 60 rounds.
Sanitar doesn't wear anything. All you can get is like good gazelles, and once again, maybe some good 5.45 ammo off him. Tagilla has the class 5 rig, but just or the class 6 rig, but maybe just increase the percent chance he spawns with the Strand Hog. It's really just Killa because he has the guaranteed best class 5 armor in the game and the guaranteed Maska helmet. But like in general, they nerfed the loot that the bosses have and nerfed the spawn rate
And buffed their reaction time.
and buffed their reaction time and aim. And so now it's like outside of the quest, it's not even worth engaging with them. So it's like we can make their spawn rate higher since their loot isn't as good. You know what I mean? I'm still of the I think they hit the nail on the head with the Sturman stash. I think all the bosses should have a guaranteed key, and that key should unlock a thing, because then that thing's loot can be scaled based on where we are in the wipe. That's why it's why they make boss spawn chance 5% for the first 2 weeks of the wipe. They make the boss spawn chance 5% in the first 2 weeks of the wipe because of the 7 people that grind and can farm bosses and get the loot. You know what I mean? Like, just leave it at their spawn rate and adjust the loot in the stash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, once again, they're balancing for the wrong players, and they're balancing all the bosses when only one boss is the problem, right? Kill is the one with all the good armor, but they nerf Sturman's spawn. Like, I don't.
But even the armor, I'm still gonna kill you with an AKM and PS ammo if you're wearing Killa's armor. I'm still gonna blast you.
Yeah.
A massive percentage of the time.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, like Killa should be the key for the exfil in that like room
that
that has the
11
treasure
SR
item.
thing. Yeah. It would be, or another thing is there should be like 2 containers inside Kiba that are only unlockable with Killa's thing. Like that would be kind of cool. Like he had a certain stash in there, like an ammo box. Like imagine a locked ammo box. There's actually one on Streets. I've never found the key, but like a locked ammo box in there, and it's like 17 BP rounds, 14 M61s. It's not like crazy, not huge quantities, but like a bunch of really good ammo and stuff like that. Like it's all there, right? Factory in the little pumping station. There should be Tagilla's stash. Like, you know what I mean? But once again, we took it from every angle. We nerfed their spawn chance. We nerfed their loot. We buffed their aggro. We buffed their accuracy. And it's like, maybe in a vacuum, every one of those changes was a good change, but you smash them all together and it's too much. And the bosses don't feel like the cool, engaging gameplay. You know what I mean? Like,
it's the same problem with so many things, like the whole economy in general. But we have inflation, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to ruin the experience for everybody and forget that the inflation's caused by the fact that you can print money infinitely with the hideout and with the flea market. So we're going to make it so that you either need to use the hideout or flea market all the time.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's like impossible to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dog shit.
So I think there's lots of cool stuff they could do with the bosses that make them more fun. But I really do think, but that was a big circle to come back and say that I don't think the economy is more broken than it is by any measurable amount if you make the bosses a 50 to 60% spawn chance, but at some point in the raid. They still retain their 15% chance to spawn at the beginning of a raid, but they've got a 40% chance to spawn at some point throughout that raid. Because it also changes up how dynamic the maps would play, right? You get gut spawn, you go dorms, you clean up dorms, you kill a PMC there. Right now, basically you can now X out dorms. You go from dorms to fortress and maybe fight somebody there, but you never have a reason to go back to dorms. But imagine you hear 4 grenades and some AKs pop off at dorms. You're like, sir, let's circle back. You know what I mean? Like it would.
And worst case, it's a 2-man and a 3-man fighting each other, and now
they were looking
on.
for Rochelle. Oh, and you're like, oh, Rochelle even wasn't there. It's just.
Yep.
The raids would be so much more dynamic. And then that would give a reason to push the player scavs spawning a little bit later into the raid, 5 to 10 minutes in, as opposed to immediately, because there would actually be content and combat to engage in 10 minutes into a raid. If you spawn into a scav raid on streets with it's a 49-minute timer, if you spawn in at 32 minutes, it's dead. You might find a PMC. Like the raid is over in 8 minutes. Because everybody runs.
Even if there are still PMCs, it's so big that you won't come across them. They're so spread out that they're not fighting anything. You can be
chasing shots, but they're moving to extract, and they get into a fight. You chase that location, they're not there anymore. The raid's over in 8 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's like it would. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But that's the stuff. But yeah, that's all.
Isn't that like the hostess?
Oh, that's the stuff. Yeah, I think it is. I think
hostess.
I think
I don't know, dude. I haven't seen one of those commercials since I was like 11, and that's marketing for you.
Yeah.
How you said that's the stuff, and I'm like, hostess.
That's hilarious.
Now I have the Mentos full of life.
Oh my gosh, dude. That was a great. I had that song stuck in my head for so long after that. But as far as like, I think that's it as far as things go in Tarkov. There hasn't been a whole lot of changes. They were really on a roll with doing them like on the daily. I don't think I expected them to like continue that forever. But we are, similar to last week, man. It's hard to sit in the W. It's hard to feel the fun movement changes and recoil changes when I'm dying to things out of my control so often. And so I know they're complicated. I know these things are hard, but I'm really hoping we see some communication around the audio or something soon. And then things like the grouping and the invisibility bug. I really do think we arrived at something. Like, I think it's got to be related to the grouping, because they said the new grouping system was supposed to be in this patch and then it wasn't. And then in one of their hotfixes, they said they were going to be bringing the new grouping system and they still didn't. So all the information fits together in my head that they've been trying to get that work, and there's just bugs around it. And so grouping is just weird right now, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they've been making underlying changes to the grouping system that have been, I can almost promise you that they've been underlying changes to the grouping system as it is now, related to the upcoming changes. They just haven't exposed certain things yet, except for they've exposed bugs. Like, that's my I think that's an educated guess for sure that that's a possibility.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Dude, do you think you would ever, did you ever see The Witness at all?
Like the game?
Any of the Yeah,
I was watching you play it a little bit the other day.
I don't know if it's your style at all. I think, oh, you know what, it was Markstrom who was saying that it looks like it was right up his alley. I don't know. Cool. I don't know if it's your thing, but I finished it, dude.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal game.
That's sick.
Like, I'm actually like, I feel genuinely sad because I'm like,
it's over.
There's nothing. Yeah, man. Like,
that's cool.
If you have to, if you're not interested in it, what you should do is watch like the first 15 minutes of like a let's play, just to see how well Jonathan Blow handles. I wanted to say teaching players the mechanics and the rules, but he doesn't do that. He lets you teach yourself. Like, so to give an example, have you seen any of the puzzles, like what they look like?
I mean, a little bit. I was watching you try to figure one out, and I was like, I've no idea.
Literally the first one you see, the most basic one, is imagine like a little circle, and then there's like a line, and you click in the circle, and that's where like the puzzle starts. And now like your mouse is like it's almost like you're on rails.
Okay. Yeah.
So you just swipe to the right and it like fills up the thing. And once you get to the end, like a rounded end piece, it like kind of glows and you click and it's like, boom, the door opens. You're like, okay, I know I click the circle. It starts in the circle and it ends
at the
in the rounded end, right?
Yeah.
And then you come to another one and it's the same thing, but it's a right angle. And it's like, okay, there's no text, there's no tutorial, there's no narration. It's just like, oh, okay, well, clearly these lines can curve.
Yeah.
And then the next one is almost like a maze kind of thing, but like a simple one, almost like a figure eight, where it's like, oh, okay, there's multiple ways to go. And you can actually solve it one way and it'll like unlock a thing, but you can then also do it like another way and it'll be like, ka-ching, you got that one right. You can solve it like 3 different ways. And you're like, oh, okay. And then the next one you come to, there's 2 circles with 2 different starting points, but it's symmetrical. And then one end. So you're like, oh, interesting. So I can start here and then, whoop. Oh, okay, cool. So now you know there's 2.
Yeah.
It just incrementally adds.
Yeah.
And then you come to one and there's 2, it's symmetrical, and there's 2 circles and there's 2 ends. And you click on the one on the left and then the one on the right lights up. And when you move, it moves like mirrored. And you're like, oh. So then you have to solve it.
Yeah.
And it's symmetrical. And then the next one you do, it's not symmetrical. So you have to figure out the right inputs to make it so that both can go through them. And then the next one has dots and shapes. And it's just a phenomenal way of being like letting people deduce.
Yeah.
And
at their
figure
own
out
speed. Yeah.
Every puzzle, dude, makes you feel like a genius when you figure it out.
Yeah.
Like the moment I walked up to a puzzle and I looked at it for a while and I'm like, it looks kind of like a funky little maze. It's like not complicated. There's only like, 7 or 8 kind of turns. And you solve it one way and you're like, that didn't work. You solve it another way. You're like, what? I don't get it. Like, what's the indication? And then if you think about it for a while and you look and you turn around and you see there's a sun behind you and there's a tree. I think maybe I showed you that.
Yeah.
There's a tree and then you realize the branches are casting a shadow on the panel. And if you go around the shadow, ka-ching, all of a sudden it lights up and you're like, oh my God.
That's so
Dude,
sick.
The best one that actually got me really good was, and there's a million things. I don't want to spoil anything. Everybody should go play The Witness. It's worth it. It's beautiful. Like I was almost in tears at the end. And it doesn't say a word to you.
It's wild.
It's just like I imagine this is what it's like when you die. Like it's just beautiful. But you're in like this like bamboo forest, and you walk up to the thing and you hear like a Nokia ringtone in your left ear. You're like, what the? And you're like, and I'm like, maybe it's like a pitch, like or something like that. And it didn't work. I'm like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden I notice in my right ear, you hear a little birdie chirping. And it's like, as like there's a high, a mid, and a low to the pattern. And you go mid, high, low, mid, ka-ching. And it's like, it's a audio puzzle. And the Nokia phone is just to be like, listen to me over here. I'm distracting you. And then later on you hear 2 birds chirping and they like overlap and you have to segment it out. Dude, it's so good.
That's insane.
And it's just like, if you think about it and you think about what information you have, everything is solvable. Everything is deducible.
Yeah.
And it's just phenomenal game design. And it's the opposite of Tarkov.
Yeah.
In that Tarkov has all of these obscure things, but imagine if they didn't ever give you a way of deducing it whatsoever.
Yeah.
You just had to go to the wiki and figure it out. Oh,
yeah.
So good, dude. It's
That's
so
dope.
good. And then I played the parody version that someone made for free called The Looker.
Really?
And like one of the puzzles, dude, it's so funny because there's like all these crazy mazes, and the way it works is it's like you have a little pencil and you draw the lines. It's literally it's a parody of it.
Okay.
And for the first like 20 puzzles, the mazes get more and more and more complicated, but the start and the end are outside of the borders, kind of. So you can just go around. You don't have to go through the maze at all. And then at one point, the closer you get, it's just like, imagine there's an end point, but it's invisible. And you like click on it, and he goes, beep, 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 beep. Yup. Beep. Yup. Beep. Yup. And the guy narrating it, eventually he's like, yeah, right there. Yeah,
Oh
right there.
my
And you're like,
God,
and he's like trying to solve it. And he's like, dude, it's so hilarious.
Hilarious, bro.
Oh, God, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Yeah, it's so good.
That's so ridiculous. I did play. There was a battle bit test on Tuesday night. I finally got to play battle bit, bro. And like, it was so good. Like everything you said, dude, the character faces making it so much better. You're really right. Like you get to a point, like it's so silly. Like, and VoIP is so good. And the fact that you can drag bodies, bro, every time I'd go down and be like, oh, I can't feel my legs. And then like instantly somebody would be like, I'm coming. And then like grab you and be like, oh, I got you, buddy. And I was like, it hurts so bad. Like, dude,
I would down somebody and then I would hear them VoIPing and then the enemy. Yeah. And I'd walk up to them and grab them and I'd be like, Daddy's here. And I would drag them into like a corner. And they'd be like, no, dude, let me go.
Bro, it's so good. The like funny little RP, dude, so many times because like the 127 versus 127 game modes, there's so much gunfire. I mean, it's just like wild. Like, and so like we'd just be on a roof like with a bunch of people and somebody would be like, I'll never forget you boys. And it's like, charge! Like, dude, I
have one complaint. One complaint in the game. Sick. And it's the spawn system. Like it's like trying to click on the people, and it's like you can click on a teammate, but when they're in combat, you can't deploy to them. So you click on them, you go to click deploy, and it's like they're in combat. You're like, oh wait, they're in combat. Oh. And I'm just clicking. I'm like, where do I spawn? How do I spawn? That's the only thing that they like need to, I think, really address. Everything else is phenomenal. Dude.
I wonder what the mod support is going to be, or like custom server, not necessarily mod, but custom server. Because my thing is, the only thing is Tarkov has ruined me for Battlefield style games. The 127 versus 127 is super fun and memey for a little bit, but I mentally check out really quickly because it's just, we're trying to take B. Spawn, turn a corner, kill a guy, die. Spawn, turn a corner, kill a guy, die. Spawn,
take B. We lost C. You take C. We lost A. You take A. We lost C.
People are like, we're losing, and I'm like, losing what? I don't live long enough to comprehend what base I'm near, what base we're taking. There's planes, trains, automobiles. Like I really just never got into that stuff. But I want every shred of what BattleBit is, with like those big maps and like 30v30 or 20v20. I want the Tarkov like thought process and maneuverability, waiting here, holding a sight line, hoping somebody comes, then you get the snipe, the like, oh, the like you and your enemy scare each other and you're trying to get into combat. Like, I love that so much, other than the just like repeatability of just like dead. That
dude, if they have, I want to get support,
a big map, and I want to get in there and make a custom like Tarkov style one, you know.
So I think they're gonna have custom game modes. Like me and Clean both said like the same thing at the same time, which is like I would, the first thing I would do is get rid of the sniper scope glint.
Yeah. Yep.
That like Battlefield.
Yeah. Very gamified.
Because it's like, nah, man, I don't want people to see. Like, then there's no like ghillie suit. You actually are a sniper. You know, you really only get one or two like snipes before you're no longer sniping. But if there's mod support, dude, I swear to God, if the game had robust mod support, I would spend 6 months making Tarkov. Fully featured. Like I would go like hardcore, like the amount of time that people put into like the Skyrim nudity mods. I would put into making a Tarkov like mode in a game like BattleBit.
Dude, and what's crazy is you could make, I imagine you could make like like an almost DayZ style map and how big it is because of how like relatively low system resources it needs. If it had a lower, player count, like even a BR in that mode would be sick, where like you're actually like going around and looting. You know what I mean? Like like
point.
That would be super fun. Like because everything is perfect. The gunplay, the audio, the recoil, the prone lean, the regular lean, the body dragging, the healing. Dude, I loved what I because it doesn't have the Tarkov inventory style system with the magazines, but it has magazines, and if they're all half full, you're
like
gonna reload to half mags, but you can consolidate the mags. I thought that was really cool. It was this really cool, like, it had some squad in there, it had some Tarkov in there, it had some Battlefield in there, and everything just works, and it's really clean and crisp, and the movement feels good, and the graphics do, in a way, just make it goofy as hell and funny to interact with other people. It was really good. Like, if they're doing it right by like keeping the game down and working on what needs to happen and then doing tests, if by the time it gets to early access, you know what I mean? Like, it has mod support. I think some of the most insane stuff can come from the community and inside that game. Holy cow.
Yeah, I've wanted modding. I've wanted to get involved. I've never done anything with modding, but I've always been so amazed at how like people have straight up made like a new version of Dark Souls in Dark Souls, like or like some of the things that they do with Skyrim, like completely changing the skill trees and like the combat, and it's amazing. It's like,
have you seen this Sky Oblivion? They just remade the entire game, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, in Skyrim.
Wait, like recently?
Yeah, it's a project that they've been working on for friggin' years. Just Sky Oblivion.
Wait, is this like new-ish? Like,
I don't know. It's something I've known about.
Tarkov, dude. That's what I'm doing.
It's something I've known about for a while. See, it's still not out. Yeah, we're currently planning on releasing Sky Oblivion to the public at some time in 2025.
It'll be out before Tarkov.
But they're completely remaking Oblivion in Skyrim. Yeah.
God, you know what the worst part is by then they're gonna come out with like Skyrim 2, and then like no one's gonna want to play the 3 games ago in the 2 games ago. Yeah. Oh man, dude, all they need to do is just make Skyrim 2 with like Mordhau combat,
bro,
and you already have like the greatest game of all time. Like, the only part about
Skyrim is
the combat was just a little janky.
Yeah.
But
yep. But yeah. So
yo, I've got a story time that I can tell super fast.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
And my wife reminded me of the best element of it. I actually would have forgotten this, and it would have kind of made the whole story fizzle. I'm going to do eavesdropping on a neighbor's business call. Nobody asked for this one, but I'm doing it because it's quick, and we've already gone 2 hours. So when I was like maybe 13, I kind of lived in like an upscale neighborhood, like big houses and stuff. But it was a new construction, and there was really only like, we were like the second house on the street. The guy across the street was like this rich dude, businessman, worked from home. I have no idea. I think maybe he was a contractor or something. Now, God, around this time, this is when like people still had home phones.
Oh yeah.
And I remember there was a second line. I don't know anything about how like the lines work, but all I know is that one day, like during the summer, me and my sister like looked down at our phone and saw the line 2 was lit up, and we were like, we don't have a second line. Like, we only have one phone line. It's like, what the so we press it, and all of a sudden we hear what we ended up, I don't remember how we figured out, it was our neighbor. Our line 2 was like tied into our neighbor's phone somehow.
That's so sketchy.
And it was a business call.
Oh my God.
It was like he was having like a conference call. Now, of course, my sister was like 14 or 15. I was like 12 or 13. So naturally, the first thing we think to do is balls. And all of a sudden, you see the guy who's like, yeah, so the TPS reports are... Okay. So to the TPS reports, cock.
Oh my God.
And we did this for multiple days. And I just remember the one day, finally, and all they would do was like, you could tell they would react in exactly the same way when I was like, one part dick.
Yep.
Like the person would be like, yeah, so if you look at the quarterly
balls.
Look at the quarter, like nobody would acknowledge. You could just tell they heard it and they were frustrated.
Oh my God.
Like the third day that we would do it, because we'd only say like 3 or 4 things and then we'd be too scared to continue. Finally, someone's like, all right, who put the parrot on the phone? Someone's got a parrot. And they were convinced that it was someone's parrot.
Oh my.
Like in the background saying
balls. And
who put the parrot on the phone is like the quintessential line from my childhood. Who put the parrot on the phone?
Put the parrot. I would have then just pretended to be a parrot. Did you ever get like caught? Or did you guys just...
We just stopped one day.
Did you ever tell your parents that they had access to their neighbor's phone?
Oh, hell no.
That's hilarious. I mean, I wouldn't either as a 12-year-old at all.
Yeah, no way. Because, I mean...
That was YouTube before YouTube. That's content.
Oh, yeah. This is way before YouTube.
That's entertainment before there was entertainment. You know what I mean? Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, this was... Let me even do the math on this. We're talking 2001... ish.
Yeah.
Right? Like when did YouTube come out? 2005. Yeah, I mean, we're talking years before YouTube. Someone would have posted this on an internet forum, on a RC chat. Oh my God, who put the parrot on the phone? And you know what the best part is? I forgot about the who put the parrot on the phone line, which is the whole story. It wasn't until I was telling my wife yesterday, because we went and we get monthly couples massages, which I highly recommend.
That's amazing.
Yeah, dude, 90 minutes. Oh my God, it's the greatest fucking thing ever. It's the best. Like, I'll take that over like a car payment like any day. That it's so good. So, but we're coming back, and I was telling her about like, oh, I was been talking about story time and all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, I got to tell him about the eavesdropping on the neighbor's business call. And she said, who put the parrot on the phone? I was like, oh my God.
Memory unlocked.
Yeah, I was literally just going to talk about how funny it was that we were just saying cock and balls and that the people were like mad about it. But like the who put the parrot on the phone is the whole thing.
That is insane.
That's the punchline of the whole story. So yeah,
is that they actually thought it was a bird talking to them.
And we were just being like obnoxious. We weren't trying to sound like a bird, but I guess saying like cock, kind of does sound like a parrot, balls. Oh man. Those were the days.
That's so great. There's so much potential there too, listening to a phone call. You know what I mean?
If I could go back, oh man.
Start like sending letters to your neighbor with like some of the quarterly report stuff that you heard. You know what I mean?
But and also in the quarterly report, it would be like, the quarterly report for the balls in caps, like italicized.
It would all be
like,
signed,
wait a minute.
the parrot on the phone.
Oh my God, the parrot on the phone, and nobody would suspect the neighbor. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't.
Yeah, because how would the neighbor know? Yeah. The parrot on the phone.
I still don't know how that worked. Like, did someone, when they were doing the phone lines, just up some wiring or what? Like, why would that work? I bet there's like a telecom expert in our audience. I promise you, because we've got like one of everything.
Yeah, for
now. Sure. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, that could happen
back
if they do this.
Back in the day, if they had done it this way. Yep. Yep.
And as we say that, someone in our chat, Mod Skillet is explaining it.
Essentially, yes. There's a phone. That's amazing. Well, the Creamcast, another banger. Tarkov is pain. And the
Yeah,
Parallel.
Tarkov's great, dude. Nothing wrong. I
Parrot on
mean,
the
it
phone.
sounds like a skill issue.
Yeah.
Have you considered you've gotten old and you're washed, or
Yeah, I'm just washed, boys. I'm just washed. The balls cast.
the parrot cast?
The parrot cast. But yeah. Thanks for hanging with us. Thanks for being around. Not a whole lot going on in Tarkov. Maybe we get some more stuff soon. This will be live early next week. All the normal stuff. I can't think of any more housekeeping things. Thanks for watching. And yeah, we'll definitely see y'all on the next one.
Balls.
Cock.